Hey there, I'm Coach Tiffany. I help people heal their relationship with food and their body after decades of struggle without using restriction. Today, we're talking about the relationship between food and enough. Do you know when you've had enough? Do you feel satisfied when you have eaten to like a happy level of fullness? Do you find yourself like going beyond fullness on a regular basis? Often we are, first off, not eating enough during the day. I can't tell you how many times clients have said, I eat too much, I overeat. And then they send me, these are their words. And then they send me like a list of what they've eaten, and it's like not enough nutrients in a day. And so often what's happening is you're getting primally hungry because you've been kind of either just like mentally restricting, or you're so in the habit of not really eating during the day because you're, in a state of like fight or flight, right? Sympathetic arousal, and you are kind of go, 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 and putting everything else above yourself, prioritizing other things. So you don't feel like you can stop and eat. Cortisol level may be really high and suppressing your appetite. Like, for example, if you have a job interview, do you feel like eating? Usually not, right? Usually you feel like, and then after the job interview is done, you have time to decompress. You're like driving home. You're like, oh my gosh, I need, a burger and fries and a large milkshake. I need all the food, right? Because we come down from it. And so that can be a contributor to not feeling like enough, because what happens is when you're primally hungry, your body is actually going to increase your hunger signals and decrease your fullness signals so that you will make up for that deficit in energy demand during the daytime. The other thing that can sometimes happen is that we may be using food to kind of come down from that fight or flight. And then the amount of food you need to kind of come down from that isn't necessarily going to be the amount that feels like allows your stomach to feel like happily full, right? You might have to go beyond that to have food feel like enough. Another thing that can often happen with the enough idea is that we really just haven't been in tune with our body and connecting to what does actually feel satisfying. When do I feel like I've had enough? Paying attention to enjoying your meal and really feeling that satisfaction. Enjoying a satisfying meal increases your satiety signals. So your body kind of kicks on the hormones that tells you you have that satiety level, and you can feel your fullness signals better. Have you ever like been eating a bag of chips or something and watching a show, and you just like all of a sudden you're reaching around in the bag and you're like, there's nothing left. I didn't even realize that I'd eaten that much, right? It was like it didn't even happen. And that's kind of that idea of like being present and really enjoying your food to kick on that satisfaction or satiety signal. It's not going to be there as strong if you're not actually attuned with what's happening in your body, if you're not focusing and paying attention. Lastly, I want to talk, well, two more things. I want to talk about how if you used food, if you, as a child, you didn't get your needs met, or as an adult, you're not getting your needs met, and you are using food to soothe or to kind of disconnect from those feelings of deprivation in other areas of your life, food can help you feel less of that pain, but it's not going to actually bring you to a place of feeling content or satisfied, because the underlying need is actually not being met. So if you're dissatisfied in your job or your relationships, if you're not getting enough connection, if you're lonely, if you never didn't get enough like care from your caregivers when you were a kid, and you were using food to feel that connection and nurturance, again, it's going to be kind of a temporary band-aid for that, but it's not going to actually help you feel cared for, right? And at least not in that way that human connection would, or in the way that like having your job or your life feel satisfying and fulfilling would. So using food can be, it's a tool. It's a survival strategy. There's nothing bad or wrong about it, but it's not going to get you the outcome that you want, and you're not going to feel that enough or satisfaction with it in the way that you would by having satisfaction in other areas of your life. So there's that fun stuff. And then the last piece is, do you feel like you're enough? If we don't feel like we're enough, good enough, if we don't believe that in our bones, then it's going to be really difficult to have a kind of content relationship with food. We really have to heal that wound within ourselves, that trauma that, from the systems of oppression and our families and our communities that have told us that we're not good enough. Because often we'll use food to try to feel, again, that connection or soothing from that pain. And we're never going to feel satisfied in that way either. Often, if we don't feel good enough and then we use food to soothe as a survival strategy, we're going to then have shame about it. And that's going to only add to that feeling of not enough. So we have to break that cycle and heal that underlying belief really in your bones that you aren't enough as you are, because you absolutely are. Your value and your worth is inherent and constant and non-negotiable. I wrote a poem about this exact thing, so I will include it in the blog and below. All right, I hope this was helpful. Feel free to reach out to me if you need support, Tiffany at CoachTiffanyRN.com. You can also take my attachment quiz to find out your attachment style with food in your body, find out where you're at with that. CoachTiffanyRN.com/quiz. All right, hope this was helpful.